All right, we're going to start with a generic box family that will be the foundation for the other families that we talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. The first family we'll be building has these two reference planes that define the insertion point of the family. So we need to build our own set of reference planes that define the bones of the family. So you can think of the family as a sort of a body, and it's got a skeletal structure as well as muscles and a brain. So the first part we have to build is the structure, and that's the skeleton. And those are reference planes. So remember, the first thing you have to do when making a family is define your reference planes that will be the structure of the geometry that you want to build. This is true for any type of sort of body part that you want to be dynamic. So we have a square here, and I'm first going to take a dimension and dimension it there and press the equal sign so that it's equal on either side. I'll do the same thing for the top. This makes it so that it can grow in either directions around the center. So just make these reference planes a little taller here, and you can see the basic gist of our structure coming together. We have our reference planes centered around the center points. Lastly, we need to make sure that we have dimensions. These constitute the muscles. These dimensions will flex the structure. And next we have the brain. So we're going to connect the dimension to a label. You can use a shared parameter, but we're not going to use one. We'll just use regular family parameters. And we'll call this, I'm going to make this family into a clearance zone, so maybe I'll call it clearance length. Or actually, I think zone length would be better. And make this an instance parameter. So now these dimensions have been tied to a parameter. You can kind of think of this as a muscle being tied to a brain. So next we will need to get the height. So I'm going to go to a front elevation, and I'm going to create a reference plane that will define how high it is. Again, we'll need to attach a dimension. Here I attached it to the reference plane. You actually want to attach it to the reference level, that black line. And I'll make a parameter for it, zone height, and make it an instance parameter so that that parameter has been defined for the height. We'll go ahead and make an extrusion in our plan view that is, you can highlight so that the reference plane highlight, and you'll see these 4 padlocks. You want to lock those padlocks. That's defining the muscle to the bone structure so that when you move that bone, the muscle goes with it. Now we need to make sure that it moves at the height. You'll see there's no padlock here. So when I move this reference plane, it doesn't come with it. So we'll use the align tool. If you don't see the padlock, you can use the align tool, and there's the padlock, and you can lock it. So now when I move the reference plane, the body or the muscles go with it. So that's the basics of building a generic family. You can have muscles, bones, and the brain to operate your dimensions. We'll be going over in the next part how to look at various different parameters and expand on this process a bit.